Hey guys, Song7 here with another race. This is going to be the Dusty Ridge race from the same week as that Wendigo race. The second race for the overall for this week. I believe they do an overall type thing. Not really too concerned about it, because I'm not really going for a championship or anything. Kind of just want to have good, go race by race and just have good races. Plus, at this point in racing, not too many championships I want to compete for. It just doesn't really I don't know, interest me that much anymore. Mostly just want to go race by race and have fun in each race. But I do think that this does count towards some overall. So, getting second at Wendigo if you missed the first race, got second, won the qualifying race, got second in the main race. So pretty good finish to set myself up for winning that overall here at Dusty Ridge if I could pull off a good finish here, especially in comparison to Detail winning that first race at Wendigo. He would be the one to beat on this track. And I'm probably going to talk more about the race in this one than I did for the Wendigo one, because the Wendigo one, to be honest, I was in my own zone that race. First was pretty far in front, third was pretty far behind me, and I was just kind of safely in second pretty much the entire race. After the first 2 laps or something like that, it was pretty much the same the whole way through, besides some lap traffic. So there wasn't really much to comment on or any insight to give or anything like that for that one. So that's why I talked about a lot of other stuff, because they're just there just wasn't much going on. Wasn't much going on for me. Wasn't the most exciting race, to be honest, at least from my perspective. So that's unfortunate. You never really want it to end up like that. But fortunately, this Dusty Ridge race was very entertaining throughout the pack, and qualifier race and main race. And I had a lot of fun in this one, and it was way, way, way better than the first race. Mostly, again, because there was action. I had action pretty much the entire way. I didn't cut this qualifier at all. The reason why I didn't cut the qualifier at all is because I get cheesed super hard. There's so much cheese in this race. That one was my fault. I should have waited just a little bit, just that's like rust. It was just a mistake there. Honestly, most people weren't taking that inside, so I didn't expect the first person being Slaunch back to be on my inside, so I thought I was safe. But maybe I could have looked at the radar better. I don't know. I'd have to go back. I don't know if I could have prevented that. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't expect the first person, because it wasn't as common, to be running that inside. And of course, Slaunch comes in and he is running the inside. So it's just unfortunate. But I've already been cheesed a ton, and I'm going to get cheesed more. That's why I included this whole qualifier. It is just a cheese luch fest. It is ridiculous that I don't. It's honestly incredible that I don't finish last with how much I get cheesed throughout this. So, but to be honest, I wasn't really too concerned about it. One thing I used to always think in the past, especially on a supercross or a motocross where it's gate pick is nice, don't get me wrong, but if you're smart about it and you're confident with your starts or what your strategy is in the start, then the gate pick isn't the most important thing in the world, unless there's someone that you're really worried about getting out in front immediately. Unless that is the case, which it wasn't the case for me on this track. I thought that no one was really, at least in the qualifier, no one was clearly the fastest. And also a lot of cheese happened, and a lot of cheese is going to happen on this track because of the track. The track itself is built in such a way that it is very sketchy. So there's just that crash right there. It didn't happen to me a single time for the rest of the night, and I don't know, I just got cheese there. And there's some big cheeses in the main race too. So that's just the way this track is. It's very sketchy, very wreck prone, and you have to be you're riding on the edge in this one. And this qualifier race is what developed my strategy for the main, which going into the main, I thought to myself, I don't want to go too hard. Maybe if I'm in a position where I think I'm fast enough and I can make some moves, I'll try to go really fast for a few laps. But mostly my idea after this qualifier going into the main race was just to play for consistency, which has been my strategy for most races of my career on Halo. So not really anything new there, but some tracks, some races, some situations, I'll know it's all right, I'm going hard on this track and I'm running that fast line every lap. This was not one of those. This was one where I thought about it and I was you know what? Going as fast as possible every single lap on this track probably isn't worth it, and no one's probably going to be able to do it without getting cheesed at least once or twice. So I figured going into the main race, you know what? I'm just going to try to be as consistent as possible. I'm still going to try to run fast, but if I can't do a fast line, or if I think I'm going like too sketchy, this is the end of the qualifier here, by the way. If I can't go as fast, or I think I'm like just too sketchy, then just slow it down. Make sure I don't crash. Make sure I don't have anything like too ridiculously bad happen like what happened in this qualifier. I had a lot of really bad crashes that would have likely just ruined my chances in the main race. So that was my strategy going into the main race, which we're starting here, is just to try to avoid that. So here we go. You can see which gate I picked. This is a classic pick of mine. I really don't mind this spot. This is the gate that I go with when I don't want to necessarily risk it for the good start, because basically Supercross, you have a bit of a risk, right? You can get that good gate pick and you can risk going for the good start, but if you don't get that really good start and you don't get way in front of everybody, then you're going to be in the mix. And when you're in the mix, bad things tend to happen. So my strategy with that outside gate pick, and it's been my strategy forever, I do it a lot. You can go back to old races. I do it a ton. Is I'll take that outside gate. That was a crazy save, by the way. That was a big save looking back at things. I'll take that outside gate, and basically the first two sections, I'll just avoid shit. Like, I'll just try not to... That I couldn't really avoid getting that tire there. I couldn't really avoid that. I was kind of just like forced into that. Not really much. I think it might have been Armada. I don't know. Whoever I was next to. Not really much they could have done either. Like, that was just unfortunate. But it's just been my strategy for a long time, which is just first two sections, just avoid stuff. You know people are going to crash. You know battles are going to get ridiculous. You know they're going to get forced out. Just have that advantageous position from behind. Try to make the passes. Try to make the heads up moves on the track to get yourself those positions. And instead of like getting in the mix for the fight for first and like ending up in last with a bad crash on the end of the first lap, I'll be where I'm at right now, which is like 7th, I think, and not too far off of anybody in front of me. And things are also starting to get a little bit cleaner, and people are starting to get stretched out, or the gaps are starting to stretch out here, which is where I felt confident. I felt more confident the bigger of the gap between all the drivers here during this race, because I was confident in my lines, and I thought that like the more spread that everybody would get, the less I would get cheesed in a pack, and the more I could just like gain time on somebody and make those passes. I think that was Detail going off the side there, and this purple, I think that's Vulcan having some issues right there, Slaunch having some issues, everybody in front of me basically having some issues. So my strategy seems to be working out pretty well. Bit of a mistake right there, bit of a rough run, but again, just like my save earlier, keeping it straight, not trying to do anything too crazy. You just, when you're in those situations on Halo, especially on Halo 5, the main thing you want to do, the worst thing you could do is try to correct it, right? You have to go against your instincts. Like most racing games, you want to correct it. That's what you want to do when you're swerving like that. Halo, no. Halo, you just want to keep it straight. Stick with it and hope that it corrects. If it doesn't, you're fucked. There's nothing you could do at that point anyways. If it does correct, then you're good to go. And I've already had 2 of those saves already, just showing how, how important that is to know what to do in that situation. And as me being a person that has won a ton of races, won a ton of championships, and more important than winning those, raced a lot. Not winning isn't necessarily everything. Like, experience is important. Tons of experience for me in Halo. Knowing to keep that straight there, even though I'm rusty and I haven't raced in a while, just knowing that was the right play. Vulcan with honestly an unfortunate crash right there. That was tough. I don't know if he could have controlled that. That seemed kind of random to me. I'm not sure, but unfortunate. And luckily for me, I just put myself in a good position, right? I was really close behind him. As soon as he makes that mistake, I speed on by, and this is something that I do a lot. This is my driving style, and I wasn't able to get too close there, but my driving style, is having a conversation before these races with Detail, that I find my driving style to be pretty comparable to my shooter play style, which is kind of funny, because if you don't follow the channel or whatever, mostly play shooter games. Like that's my main genre, and I don't know if this can work for most racers, but I feel like the way I play those games and the way I race is actually very similar, which is make your opponent uncomfortable and force them into mistakes. That's what I do when I play shooters. Vast majority of the time, that is how I play. And sometimes I let it come to me, but that's usually how I play. And, well, actually, that's kind of the idea, is you let it come to you, right? You put yourself in a position to put the pressure on the person in front of you, and you just sort of let it come to you, you know? Like, you just apply that pressure, and you don't necessarily have to be better or make a crazy pass. Sometimes I will. A lot of the times, it'll just eventually come. Like, the pressure will overcome them, and they'll make a mistake, and then you just drive on by. You just stay aware. You keep that awareness up, and you just make the move when it needs to happen. So that is my driving style. That is my style in shooters as well. Make your opponents uncomfortable. Put them in that position to make a mistake. Don't wait. Don't sit and wait and hope they make a mistake. Get up on them and force them into it, which is, you know, potentially even what happened with Real Deal right there. Really close behind him, makes the mistake in the whoops, and I just go on by. I didn't take the fast line there because I wasn't sure if Real Deal was going to risk it for that inside. He ended up not doing it, but after that finish line close call, which I was, you know, making my rant there, I forgot to mention that finish line close call with Real Deal was really fortunate. I feel like most of the wreck avoidance for me this race was just being a good racer and experienced racer and knowing what to do. That was the one where I will admit that was luck. Like, that was extremely fortunate that I didn't get crashed out right there. But, you know, there was a lot of mistakes where I could have... okay, what am I trying to address here? So, like, you can always say something is lucky, right? You can always look at that and say that's lucky, but to be honest, most races that you are going to have a podium, going to have a win, going to have a winning chance, you're going to have like some stroke of luck at some point. Like, that's what's going to happen most of the time. The important part is being solid the rest of the time, right? You might get lucky for like one turn or one almost crash or something, but that's not necessarily always the reason you won. There might have been 5 other times where you could have completely cheesed something, but you stayed in control, kept your composure, and avoided it where others may have not avoided it. So, you know, even though that was fortunate, there were still like 5 or 6 other crashes that totally, if I were anybody else, could have not went my way, and I did them, handled those situations in such a way to where it did go my way and put myself in the position to be like in a good position here in this top pack. And I did get one good stroke of luck, but I was solid the rest of the way. So that's the most important thing. Don't focus on that. That's the worst part of a winning mindset. You know, don't ever focus on that, or if something doesn't, if something like just goes your way or doesn't go your way. Like, you can only control what you control, what you can control, which sounds like obvious, but it is something that people forget at times. Like, you can only control what you can. So like that, whether I was gonna like land on him and flip out right there, out of my control. Can't worry about that. Not really much I could have done. I didn't know he was gonna cross jump. What I can focus on are the things I can control, like the times where I got really close to wrecking but knew what to do and kept my goose in control. And those are what really made the difference here for me in this race, and not that one stroke of luck. So that's just a little, that doesn't even necessarily have to be to new drivers. That's just in general something that I think even experienced drivers can get, you know, could be a nice newsflash to them. Not a good thing to focus on. Focus on what you can do. And if you do that and you put yourself in good situations and you make few amounts of mistakes, then you will put yourself in a position to get lucky. I know that sounds weird, but the better you play the rest of your race, the higher your chances increase of you stroking out on luck. You know what I mean? Like, if you put yourself in a really good position on second and somebody wrecks out in first, that's because you put yourself in that position. You know what I mean? That's because you put yourself in that position. Could be for third, could be for fourth, could be for fifth, whatever. If you make a couple mistakes and you end up in fourth, but somebody for the lead makes a mistake and then the person in second takes it, then you're not thinking about like, wow, how lucky did that person in second get? You're thinking about, what could I have done to put myself into that position where I could have taken advantage of it? So, I don't know. That's not really to anybody in particular, by the way. It's really not. That's just like in general. I think that's something that, you know, even with me, even with everybody, can get caught away with that at times. So just like important to remember at times to have a good race mindset. To improve yourself, put yourself in the best positions. But anyways, I've had this like crazy battle with Detail, and it heats up right here. He made that one mistake to let Slaunch pass him. He makes that same mistake again. Unfortunately, I was not able to capitalize there, did not have the best whip run. He had a great one, but he makes a mistake right after, and I have a good run right after to keep this battle up, keep the pressure on, We both have a good run here, but I put myself, again, in a good position, had a really nice run to the inside. This is just a great battle that we're having, a classic battle. We've had plenty throughout the years, and this is just another good one. And I was able to stick the pass right there. Had a really nice battle for a few laps, but I ended up being able to take it right there, and now I'm in the mode where I'm not trying to hold on to it. Like, I look like I'm ahead of Detail. He's not immediately challenging. Now I'm setting my eyes on the lead, and you can see Slaunch has a pretty good gap there, but I'm not. This is another lesson too. Like, I guess I'm doling these out because this league has a decent amount of new racers, and new racers are important. Want to see new blood. Another important lesson: don't race your mirror. This is, again, something that a lot of experienced racers will know, but good to know. Don't race your mirror. Like, when I get by Detail here, I'm not setting my sights on like, oh, there's only a few minutes left. I probably can't catch Slaunch. Let me just try to hold on to second. That is stupid. That is always a bad mindset unless you're in a late season points battle situation thing where it makes sense. I'm talking race by race, and as a racer, what I like to do, even for championships, always have been this way. Ask anybody that races with me in the field, they'll tell you this, is to win, right? That's always the focus for me. Not any of that shit. I'll take those finishes when I can, but I'm always trying to win, always trying to make those comebacks and not settling. And that's why I have had a lot of late race surges and comebacks and late race passes and stuff like that in my career, is because I don't settle. I always try to get as much as I can every lap. That transition there was nice, by the way. I'm going to gas myself on that one. I always try to do that so that situation I was talking about earlier, I put myself in as good of a position as I can for the win, knowing if anything happens. And you saw that transition there. That was about a 2-3 minute gap of how much I gained on Slaunch in that time. So I didn't show you those particular laps, but I showed you a very quick look at the amount of time that I gained. And I got pretty close here. I had a pretty far gap. I got really close, and there it is. Slaunch makes his first really major mistake that I was aware of throughout the entire race. Unfortunately, really late in the race here, it happens. And again, I'm able to make the pass. Why was I able to make that pass? Why was I able to benefit off it? Not because I was lucky, because I put myself in the position to be that close, knowing that, if he makes that mistake, I'll be close enough to capitalize. And that's what ended up happening. It took forever. He almost ran that perfect race, but eventually that mistake came, or unfortunate circumstance. I don't know if he could have controlled that wreck. It was hard for me to see from my POV. It was probably just unfortunate, but regardless, lots of cheese happens on this crash. The cheese finally comes for Slaunch, and I'm able to take advantage of it. And on this last lap, I believe we are on the last lap here, all I'm thinking about is just trying to run a clean lap here. I did get a pretty good gap on Slaunch, but he also recovered pretty well from that crash, so I know that it's still him behind me. I think I gapped Detail pretty well here at this point. So now on this last lap, I'm sticking to my lines, I'm sticking to my guns, but I'm just trying to run a consistent lap. And basically, I'm trying to run, I know it's one lap to go, I know what gap I have. I know that if I run a decent lap, I don't need to run the fastest lap in the world. I know that if I run a decent lap in this situation, I should win, as long as I don't make a mistake. So that's all I'm trying to do here. I'm not necessarily trying to have the fastest lap of all time. I'm still taking those fast lines, but I'm taking them safe, I'm taking them wisely, and I'm not trying to make any major mistakes here. Even there, that was a little bit slow. I didn't get the fast run. I didn't go for the fastest run there as I usually do, but I knew that running it decently like that would be good enough as long as I didn't crash, and that's what happened right here. I hit that pretty well, to be fair. I hit the pocket right there pretty well, but everything else this lap was just clean, right? I did all the work earlier in the race to get here. I did all that work earlier. Now I'm just closing it out, and here we go. Whip across the finish. To take my first win in, I don't know, 3 months or so, or something like that. And winning Dusty Ridge, which I haven't won an MX in a while, so that felt pretty good. I've wanted to win an MX for quite a while because it's been so long, so winning this one felt great. Was pretty cool to return to victory lane here. I let the video play out here at the end so you can see the results where people finish, the gaps, stuff like that. But yeah, pretty good race. And again, lesson from that race, keep your composure, put yourself in a good position to win, because you never know what's going to happen. Some races, you're just going to run a really good race, you're just going to run a mistakeless race, you're going to drive to that win, you're going to get in front, and you're not going to lose it, right? Other races, other racers might make mistakes, and if you stay clean and consistent, you will benefit off that. Just do the best that you can do, and the rest will come. And Here, all I had to do was run a consistent race, which is what I did. I avoided every crash. I don't think for how many times I cheesed and got crashed in that qualifier, don't think it happened a single time in the main race. I kept my composure after the qualifier, made adjustments, made the right adjustments, changed my lines throughout the race, and ran a good one, had a good win. Hope you guys enjoyed it, found it insightful, and are enjoying the new videos. See you next time.